This is a tutorial for the lesson plan and introduction to the macroeconomy, circular flow. It's the first lesson in our 20-lesson macroeconomics unit. To set up the classroom, we're going to want to place students into groups of 3 or 4 if needed. Students should sit facing one another with space for a circular flow board in the center. The learning objectives are that students will be able to explain how households and firms are interdependent in a macroeconomy, and illustrate macroeconomic developments using an economic model. I'm going to skip over the activator, but you can find the complete lesson plan at econoful.org. Most of our materials you need to create a free membership to access, but 3.1 is available for everyone. After the activator, we jump into the simulation. The groups of 3 or 4 students are each given a simulation board, pieces, and instructions. The simulation pieces are pennies, dried pasta, and paper clips. In their groups, students will read aloud all of their instructions, place their simulation pieces in the correct locations, and discuss the 2 pre-simulation questions that give students an opportunity to retrieve information about factor markets and product markets, which they learned about in Unit 2, Microeconomics. So this is what the board setup looks like. There's going to be 6 pieces of pasta and 3 pennies in the business sector, and then 6 paper clips and 3 pennies in the household sector. Scenario 1 is the electric vehicle sector decides to purchase machinery. Tell students that to practice, the class will walk through the first scenario together. Read the scenario out loud, and then click to model the resulting movement of the game pieces on the slide and explain the impact that the development described in the scenario had on both the business sector and the household sector. Emphasize that game pieces must always explicitly move through one of the markets on the circular flow board. So I'll click through and show you what that looks like. We have the paperclip representing a factor of production and the penny representing money moving into the factor market and then around the board so that the factors of production move from the household to business and the money moves from the business to the household sector. For the remaining scenarios, students aren't shown the relevant portion of the board while they discuss and move the pieces. And then after giving them a minute to do that, then we'll reveal the board and show how the pieces moved and debrief that as a class. After students complete 6 rounds of the simulation, they're going to watch this 90-second video from the Federal Reserve of St. Louis. As students watch, they think about the question on the slide. The clip reviews the main concepts of the circular flow model. The next section is an economic shock, putting it all together. Now students are given an opportunity for individual practice and review. They'll receive this handout, which has the circular flow model as well as space to take notes and answer questions. After that, students are asked to engage in some metacognition and rate their current understanding of the circular flow model. Their rating determines which text they'll read, and all students independently reflect on what they read by answering a couple of questions on their handout. This lesson introduces the concept of interdependence in the macroeconomy, which is also what one of the learning objectives is about, so that's what the summarizer focuses on. That completes this lesson. I'm just going to quickly review the materials needed since there are several, including the simulation pieces. So as a class set, for every group of 3 or 4 students, we have the game board, and that actually is printed on 2 sheets of paper or cardstock. One suggestion we have is to tape it on the inside of a manila folder so that it comes together as a game board and it's a little more sturdy and able to be reused. Then we have the 6 paper clips, 6 pennies, and 6 pieces of pasta, as well as the instructions. So again, those go to every group of 3 or 4 students, but you can reuse those for every class. This is the double-sided handout. There'll be one for each student. The reinforcement reading is 3 to a page, but you'll cut those apart ahead of time. And then I didn't mention it, but the Unit 3 overview is also something we'll hand out right at the beginning of the class if you're going to do all of Unit 3 with your student. And if you try this lesson, please let us know how it went. We have a link to a feedback form on the very last slide, as well as in the lesson plan. We would love to hear from you.